I'm Jenny McCafferty for the Michigan Golfer. We are at the second highest point in Indiana, and this is the Pete Diye course. We're here to bring you the first of French Lick Resort's Tours de Force. Number one, the Donald Ross Classic, which is part of the Symetra Tour. The second one is the Alice Diye Invitational, and the third one in October is the Senior LPGA Championship. We're in French Lick, Indiana at the Donald Ross Classic Clubhouse with the Director of Golf here at French Lick, Dave Harner. Wow, what a great tournament we're having.
It's been wild. We've got some great scores out there. In fact, 42 players were under par at the cut. It took score +1 to make the low 60 in ties. So we're in for a real finish today. We've got a lot of players stacked there at the top.
And boy, can they hit long drives.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you see out here. You imagine these players, and they're aspiring to make the LPGA Tour, so it lets you know the quality of play that's got to be out there in the women's tour. And to be honest with you, a lot of these girls are probably competitive out there one week or another with those ladies.
In fact, I think you were talking about some holes in one you've seen already?
Yeah, on Wednesday in the Pro-Am, one of our local business owners had a hole-in-one on the fourth hole. He was in the very first group to tee off on hole 4. He hit 5-iron in the hole and won a 2-year lease on a Ford F-150 King Ranch truck.
That's the way to do it.
So, we thought that was pretty special because the fourth hole has very few hole-in-ones. It's a 172-yard uphill par 3 that's you can't see the green totally. You can see the flag, but can't really see the contours or the green. So we thought that was pretty cool. Then yesterday we had 3 holes-in-ones on hole 4 and a 4th hole-in-one on hole number 6. And the irony of it is one of the pros who made a hole-in-one was playing with Larry, the guy who made the Wednesday hole-in-one. So not only did he make one, but his pro playing partner from Wednesday made one yesterday. And, the odds of that are, I was looking this morning at the odds, and 2 hole-in-ones on the same hole-in-one day is 17 million to 1. And they estimate the 3 in one day at 250 million to 1. So I should have bought a lottery ticket.
Well, Lady Luck is with you with this tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a great week. A little hot in the afternoon rounds, but all in all, we've had a nice breeze, and it's been a fun week. These young ladies really play well and appreciate having a tournament of this stature to play.
Well, it's always fun to come here and watch because you can see so many holes from different spots around the course. So I'm wondering, which hole is giving the players the most trouble?
Well, yesterday we had a back pin placement on the 18th hole, and I saw several players hit really good shots at the pin, but unfortunately landed on a little downslope in front of the pin, went over the back, and it's almost impossible to get it up and down from over the green on 18 with a back pin. So that one was probably as tough as any.
I imagine. So how are they doing with number 8, which is also a pretty interesting challenge?
Well, number 8's been pretty quiet this week. We've kept the pin down front, so a lot of good shots, a lot of birdies there. But I'm not sure where we have it today. I haven't seen the sheet, but if it's top right or left, you know what that can be.
The ball rolls off the green, right?
If you're in the wrong spot, you got no chance.
Oh, what a challenge. Well, this has been a great tournament. We're still in process, but you've got 2 more coming up. The Alice Diye Invitational and the Senior LPGA Championship. Tell us about those tournaments coming up.
Yeah, the Alice Diye Invitational is that first Monday, Tuesday in August, and we've had that tournament. This will be the 9th consecutive year. It's 2-person teams for women, played with handicap. Not a hugely serious competitive golf event, but an event that's great fun with a lot of socializing and a lot of special events that surround it. This year we're taking all 108 ladies to a twist and shout 50s and 60s rock and roll show. So we've done lots of different things. We've had country line dance lessons. We've had Patoka Lake Winery cruise. So we try to mix it up and find interesting things for them to do, and it really helps the area because people become more familiar with what's here other than golf and the resort.
Twist and shout, that sounds like something I was doing in college.
Yeah. Well, it should be fun.
Right.
It should be fun.
Right. Sounds like a lot of fun. And, of course, we've been over to the Pete Dye course checking out hole number 6 because, among other things, it's replicated at the Children's Museum in Indianapolis at the Pete and Alice Dye replica course there. You had a chance to see that yet?
I actually worked a first tee event for the Indiana PGA there at the sports complex, and I tell you what, a fantastic venue for kids. I mean, it's wonderful. I had no idea, but they have 36 holes of miniature golf. One side is a fairly serious miniature golf course. The other side's for the younger kids. Then they have the hockey, the soccer, the basketball, the Indianapolis 500 experience, the Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Dragway. So a lot of things for kids to do. It's a great day to spend with your kids.
Yeah. They even had a small fenced-in place for toddlers to play golf. That was really fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of happy faces. I think we had about 5,000 kids come through the day I was there.
Wow.
And it was a cool experience.
No kidding. So, speaking of Pete and Alice Dye, I imagine you have one or two Pete Dye stories you could tell us?
I have a lot of Pete Dye stories.
Oh, tell us more.
Well, his early visits were pretty special. The first time I spoke with Pete on the phone, we're down in southern Indiana, and sometimes we're not the most informed people, but he called me and he said, "This is Pete Dye," and he spelled his name for me, like I wouldn't know who Pete Dye was. And he said, "I got 2 questions for you." And he said, one, he said, "How's your sand down there?" And I said, "Well, the sand's not very good here." I said, "What we mine's a pretty heavy, large particle sand that doesn't drain very well." "Yeah," he said, "I'd always heard that about southern Indiana. That's a problem." And then he said, "Do you have ticks down there?" And I said, "Well, yeah, we have ticks. If you're out in the woods walking around, you might get a tick on you." He said, "No, not me." He said, "The dog." He said, "I'm going to bring my dog." And he said, "If I get her full of ticks, Alice is going to kill me." So that was my first phone conversation with Pete. Then early on, we walked the golf course or walked the site and got back to the car. And Pete told me there was no way to build a golf course on that site.
Wow. So.
And he came back the next day, and the rest is history. And he drew the course on a napkin at a local restaurant here, and I, at the time, it was lines and squiggles to me, and I just kind of threw it up on the dashboard of my car and didn't think a lot about it for about a month. And then I thought, you know what? That's history. I don't know what I'm doing here. I got to get this thing framed. So it's now framed, hanging in the golf shop up at Pete Dye. Oh,
okay. So there's also a story about trees or lack thereof.
Yeah. Mr. Ferguson is quite a preservationist, I would say, and loves his trees. And so he had a crew of us go out and ribbon about 200 trees on the site that were good to save. And after Pete's first couple of weeks, we had only 1 tree left of those 200. And it was a pitiful thing. It had been hit with other trees when they fell, and bulldozer had hit it, and the roots were all up out of the ground. And I said, "Pete," I said, "for goodness sakes," I said, why did you leave it? Why didn't we just get rid of it? Because I said, it's going to fall or it's going to die and we're going to have to cut it. He said, "Well, your boss likes trees, so I thought I'd leave him one."
Did Steve Ferguson ever confront him with that?
Well, it became a challenge to Steve, and then we pruned the roots and we put irrigation in and lightning protection and all sorts of things. So the year the Ryder Cup was in Louisville, Hurricane Ike came through on a Sunday, and we had terrible winds here. We had so much wind, we had our media day for the senior, it would have been the Club Pros Championship, the Professional National Championship, and it was so windy the ball wouldn't stay on the green up here at Ross. And I got a call, and Pete was here because he was going to speak, and I got a call from up at Ross that the tree had gone down, and just so happens Pete and I were having lunch with Mr. Ferguson at that time, and Pete smiled and Mr. Ferguson shook his head.
What a moment that had to be.
Yeah.
Lightning protection. I've never heard of that. What does that involve?
It's just a matter of putting a lightning rod like you would put on the roof of your house in the tree and running it to the ground so it's grounded, and if lightning hits it, hits the rod, follows it. But there was no hope for that tree ever. It did become a challenge, though. And now there's a plaque to commemorate that there was a tree there. I think the plaque says something like the lone oak saved by Steve Ferguson, April 2006, taken by God June 2009, or some little thing Alice wanted on the plaque.
Remind me what hole that would be.
Yeah, it's right by the 8th tee. If you just look up to the left, it's right there.
Oh, what a lot of great stories. So, what are some of the things that are new and different we might notice around the resort here?
Well, there's always changes. The new Valley Golf Links shop, we built a new pro shop there, and the old indoor practice facility and tennis courts have been converted into an exhibition hall for large conventions and conferences. So there's one big change. A big change you're going to see coming up soon is that we're going to add somewhere between 50 and 80 hotel rooms adjacent to the casino, adjoining the new conference center. That'll start probably within the next couple of months. Also in West Baden, the old bowling pavilion there is going to be converted into a wedding chapel. Much the same decor that you see in the atrium and the lobby at West Baden will be replicated in that building, and be specific to weddings and small meeting groups. So that's going to start very soon. We've kicked around the possibility of building a second 9 holes at the Valley Links to give us 3 18s. I don't see that happening tomorrow, but I certainly think it's on the horizon.
Is there room to put another 9? Because originally it was 18, and then the casino took some of it, as I recall.
There's a location that's on the hill adjacent, right next to the course. It actually runs sort of parallel to the first, second, third, and fourth holes. That gives you views that are similar to the Pete Dye course. So if we can get that done, that'll be pretty special. But always improving. Always a project, and just look for more good things.
Well, if you're adding more hotel rooms, that must mean that things are pretty busy around here.
Yeah, weekends it's difficult to get a room here. You have to reserve it well in advance. The Alice Dye tournament, or not the Alice Dye, I'm sorry, the senior LPGA tournament alone sells out everything we have. So that particular week we need more room. And there are other motels and hotels here in the valley, some very nice limited service hotels, but not everyone wants limited service, just the same as not everyone wants full service.
Well, we want all the amenities at the resort, usually, when we come, right?
Certainly. It's a place that it's hard to spend 2 days or 3 now and see everything there is to see and do everything there is to do.
We've had a few Big Ten championships. Do you see any more college coming here?
I don't think we'll see any more. We're committed to the Senior LPGA and this Symetra Tour event for the next 3 years after this. So we have a 5-year commitment, and we're 2 years in. The Senior LPGA, of course, coming in October this year. We were able to move it to a fall date that's going to be spectacular for color. And I don't really see us jumping out there doing a whole lot of anything in the next couple of years with tournaments.
Well, having the Symetra Tour come here is pretty exciting, because we see some of them play qualifiers for LPGA events, and they're playing for tour cards, so that's really cool.
Yeah, and our tournament purse here is such that if you win this tournament, you're going to be pretty well on your way to a tour card. You're going to get into that top 10 really quickly. And, there's been a couple, last year's player who won the tournament, Erin Lee, has had a couple of top 15 finishes on the tour this year. So she's already seeing some success out there.
So the purse is such that it really attracts a lot of great players, doesn't it?
All the top players are here, yes.
There you go, all the top players. Well, Dave, you have all kinds of things, players and courses and hotels. So congratulations on French Lick just becoming even more of a big-time destination.
Well, thanks. And I don't want to leave without mentioning the Senior LPGA a little bit.
Okay.
This week, as we speak, they're playing the U.S. Senior Women's Open in Chicago. And, I looked at the leaderboard. This is, of course, Saturday morning. And the leaderboard is Trish Johnson, who's our defending champion with the Senior LPGA. Okay. And Laura Davies tied at the top of the leaderboard. Julie Inkster's there. Daniela Makapani's there. So it's a star-studded field, and don't underestimate those ladies. They can get it around also.
They sure can. So we look forward to seeing them too. Great. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.